Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Daily Debate. My name is Ahmed and tonight we're going to focus on a couple of important topics for the future of the country and for the future of the global economy as well. As on Monday and Tuesday we will be witnessing the parliamentary elections that will be hosted by 13 different governorates for the second phase for the Egyptians living within Egypt, residing within the country. For 13 governorates, as the first phase was concluded in 14 different governorates for the Egyptian expatriates and then for the Egyptians living within the country. And for the second phase, the Egyptian expatriates, they had voted on Friday and Saturday in 113 different diplomatic missions over 117 different countries. So we'll be awaiting the last and final phase for the Egyptians within the country, voting and casting their ballots in 13 different governorates, including the capital, Cairo. As for the other important topic, we'll be shedding more light on the visit of Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli to South Africa and Johannesburg, in specific to be attending the G20 summit, the first time that Africa had hosted such a summit, and we will be discussing the implications and the importance and the significance of the participation of Egypt, represented by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli on behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. We will be starting straight away with the main top stories that took place for today, as Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli met on Sunday with the Japanese counterpart Sanai Takaichi on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Johannesburg. In the meeting, Prime Minister Madbouli hailed the historic distinguished relations with Tokyo, expressing his appreciation to Japan's participation in various national and developmental projects, especially the Grand Egyptian Museum, as well as its participation in the educational field. Madbouli wished more bilateral cooperation to include industrial technology and artificial intelligence. And for her part, the Japanese Prime Minister valued the deeply rooted bilateral ties and cooperation in various domains. Also on Sunday, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli met the Vietnamese counterpart Pham Minh Chinh on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Johannesburg. The meeting tackled boosting bilateral relations. Prime Minister Madbouli hailed the Vietnamese investments in Egypt and expressed his willingness to expand cooperation between both countries in various fields. On another front, and concerning the activities of Foreign Minister Dr. Badr Abdulati, he assured the importance of cementing the ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip and preventing any violation that might hinder the ongoing efforts. During a phone call with the Qatari Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani, Foreign Minister Abdulati stressed the importance of continuing coordination among Egypt, Qatar, the United States and Turkey to ensure full implementation for the Sharm el-Sheikh peace agreement and transfer to the second phase of the U.S. President Donald Trump's plan on Gaza. The call also tackled the latest developments in Sudan and the efforts of the International Quartet mechanism. Foreign Minister Abdulati reiterated the importance of preserving the stability and sovereignty of Sudan, rejecting any violations that threaten the stability of its people and national institutions. And finally, the preparations for the second phase of the parliamentary elections inside Egypt are underway. Voting in the two-day second phase starts across 13 governorates on Monday. 35 million voters are eligible to cast the ballots in 73 constituencies that include 5,287 sub-voting centers. 1,113 candidates are running for 141 individual seats, and one list is vying for the list seats. The election is being held under full judicial supervision and observation from the civil society organizations and the local and the international media outlets. The National Election Authority has given directives for all the participants of the election process to firmly commit to the code of election campaigning laid out by the NEA. It stressed the importance of abiding by the campaign silence period, where all the candidates are to abstain from conducting any campaigning activities. It warned that it will take all the necessary legal measures against any breaches, which it said could lead to annulling voting in the sub-constituency. Even such violations are witnessed. The results of the second phase of the parliamentary elections are to be announced on December the 2nd after rulings in the election appeals. The rerun for the first phase of the elections for the Egyptians abroad is to take place on December the 1st and the 2nd, while the rerun for the first phase inside Egypt is to be held on December the 3rd and the 4th. We will be heading for the first report of the daily debate for tonight, focusing on the parliamentary elections and the second phase for the Egyptians living within Egypt. We have more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
The International Integrity Coalition for Monitoring 2025 House of Representatives elections said on Saturday plans to deploy observers to about 1,200 polling stations during the second phase of Egypt's parliamentary vote. Coalition spokesperson Ayman Aqil said preparations were complete for the mission, which will cover 13 governorates. He said teams were ready to begin work in line with internationally recognized standards for election monitoring. The coalition brings together 5 civil society groups, including Egypt's Mat Foundation for Peace Development and Human Rights, and 4 organizations from Europe and Africa. In Greece, the International Alliance for Integration and Sustainability of Malta, Gold's Forum International of Uganda, and Ghana's Liska Relief Foundation. Aqil said the second phase operation involves around 100 personnel, including the international observers, translators, and local coordinators, supported by a round-the-clock operations room. 20 international monitors from 16 countries are expected to take part. He said the coalition's work is based on principles of integrity, transparency, and adherence to international standards for free elections, as well as global human rights norms related to political participation and fair competition. Voting abroad for the second phase began in 139 Egyptian consulates across 117 countries, concluded on Saturday. Balloting inside Egypt is scheduled for November 24th and 25th.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Daily Debate, and I'm honored to be having with me over the phone Dr. Ahmed Sharaf, the political analyst, to be shedding more light on the participation of the Egyptian expatriates and for the second phase for the Egyptians living within Egypt in the parliamentary elections. Dr. Ahmed Sharaf, thank you very much for being with us tonight on Nile TV International and the Daily Debate.
Well, thank you, Ahmed. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to be with you.
The pleasure is all mine. First of all, how did you see the voter turnout for the second phase of the parliamentary elections, and more specifically for the Egyptian expatriates on Friday and Saturday, and what are your expectations for Monday and Tuesday?
Well, you know, Ahmed, the decision to perform a parliamentary election in Egypt and across, also outside Egypt, in Egyptian embassies and consulates abroad, has drawn significant attention from citizen policymakers and observers alike. So this renewed voting process is not merely a procedural requirement. It reflects the evolving relationship between the Egyptian state and its expatriate community as well as the central role of democratic participation in shaping the country's political future. So, rerunning parliamentary elections outside Egypt typically occurs when procedure issues or legal challenges necessitates holding the vote again to ensure compliance with Egypt's electoral laws. So, as a matter of fact, such measures reaffirm the state's commitment to transparency, I would say so, transparency and legitimacy, ensuring that every eligible Egyptian citizen, whether inside the country or abroad, has a fair opportunity to participate in selecting their representatives. So I talk about Egyptians as I am one of the Egyptian expatriates living abroad. It's estimated that we are in millions. We form a vital demographic with economic, cultural, and social significance. Our participation in the parliamentary elections highlights our connection to our homeland and our desire to influence political development despite geographical distances.
Yes, Dr. Ahmed Abd Tawab Sharaf the political analyst. Thank you very much for being with us tonight on the Daily Debate over the phone. We will be heading to the other main topic for tonight, which is the participation of Egypt, being represented by Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli in the G20 summit for the first time, being hosted in South Africa or in Africa in general. We will be talking about the implications of Africa hosting such an international summit and the participation of Egypt being represented by Dr. Madbouli on behalf of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. We'll be having more details in the upcoming report. Stay tuned.
Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli confirmed Egypt's readiness to host an international conference focused on early recovery and rebuilding of the war-damaged Gaza Strip, inviting G20 summit countries to participate in this event. He welcomed the UN Security Council's adoption of a resolution related to Gaza Strip on November 17th. Madbouli stressed the need to begin the second phase of U.S. President Donald Trump's plan to tackle humanitarian crisis in Gaza Strip. This includes providing urgent humanitarian aid, starting the implementation of the early recovery and reconstruction plan, and working towards a just final settlement of the Palestinian issue based on two-state solution. This came in a speech he delivered on Saturday at the session on inclusive and sustainable economic growth, leaving no one behind, building economies at the G20 summit held in of President Fattah al-Sisi in the presence of several kings, presidents, and heads of state and government. Madbouli began his speech by expressing thanks and appreciation to the sisterly Republic of South Africa for its welcome and great organization of this important international event. He also expressed deep gratitude to South Africa's G20 presidency and for its kind invitation to Egypt as a guest in this year's G20 meetings, pointing to South Africa's constructive role in leading the group's activities and its ongoing support for the priorities of the African continent. During the session, the Prime Minister explained that the present time is marked by unprecedented global challenges, making the role of the G20 central to addressing major global economic issues. foremost among them the reform of the world's financial architecture to enhance its capacity to meet developmental needs of developing countries. In this regard, Madbouli stressed the importance of enhancing access to concessional financing through the creation of new financial systems, in addition to supporting the efficiency and effectiveness of existing mechanisms. He affirmed that broader representation of developing countries within the framework of global economic governance is of utmost importance. The Prime Minister also highlighted in his speech urgent need to reform the complicated global debt system by introducing new mechanisms for comprehensive and sustainable debt management that take into account conditions of low and middle income countries. Madbouli further emphasized the importance of renewing international commitment to multilateralism and operating within a multilateral trading system based on governing rules where the World Trade Organization plays a central role, thus contributing to boosting trade as a key driver of sustainable development and inclusive growth. He noted the close link between peace and development as a well-established fact, highlighting contribution of Sharm el-Sheikh Peace Summit to ending the war in Gaza and opening new horizons towards a more stable, secure, and prosperous Middle East region. In conclusion, the Premier expressed his hope that the summit will yield practical and constructive results that meet aspirations of people for a better world.